Good. Main screen. Awesome. So it's Ben Malal, as you guys know, and welcome to the $50,000 product case study, where I'm actually going to go over the steps of how to, what the process that we actually took to take a product from zero to $50,000. Now, for those of you that just joined, what I want to do in the upcoming sessions is do a little bit more case studies, so you guys have an idea of what products are successful. Okay, and you have an idea of the process, because looking at the process, looking at a product that actually succeeded, and seeing everything that goes in the back end is extremely powerful, because that's your way of tasting what actually works and what actually doesn't. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I'm going to probably do another one or another even two case studies on successful products, not even mine, but some of my students, some of my clients. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm really excited for this one, guys. So of course, like I said, this process, first of all, this one was made in June, something like that. Now, a lot of the things that were in June are a bit different than what I teach now. Okay, so I'm going to go over that as well, but the overall strategy is pretty much the same. Let me for a second just close the window here. It's a bit noisy. Okay, so first things first, what are the steps that were taken? Okay, now the steps that were taken wasn't really different than what I go over in the course, in the sessions. Open the general store, okay, like any other venture, business, e-com venture. Open just a general store and decide to test four niches. Okay, cats, wine, LGBT, goth. Okay, like any other strategy. Tested a few products in the cats niche. Even though it was it's a very saturated niche, I found a few cool products that I didn't see anywhere else, so I wanted to test them out. I tested some products in the wine niche, some in the LGBT. Now, LGBT is the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual community, and the goth niche, which is the dark metal type. I don't know if you guys know a lot about the goth niche, but it's this dark people that like vampires, werewolves, bats, and so on and so on. Now, the main thing here is that there's two out of these niches are more passionate than the other niches. Okay, so there's cats, wine, LGBT, goth. Now, all of these are basically passionate niches. People that are passionate about the niche and are willing to buy things for it. So a cat owner is really passionate about cats. Wine, people that like wine are passionate about the wine. Of course, the LGBT community is extremely passionate about who they are and who they represent. And the goth niche, which are really into the whole goth scene. Now, the LGBT and the goth niches were a bit more passionate because it represents themselves. Okay, so guys, niches that represents the person usually has a higher success rate than niches that represent something that's outside of the person. So a cat lover, of course, this is for the pet, and a pet is an amazing animal, and people spend sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for their pet. But when it comes to yourself, there's a very strong intent of eventually spoiling yourself. So open a general store, tested four niches like what I teach, just testing niches, trying out niches. Okay, tested about 3-4 products in every niche. Okay, I'm going to go over that in a second. Now, one niche stood out from the rest. Okay, there was one niche out of those four niches that stood out from the rest, one that was a little bit more successful. Now, some of them, by the way, some of those niches had a bit of potential, and if I continued to advertise in those niches and tried more products, then I probably would have found success. But I decided to just go with the niche that stood out the most and to scale that out. Now, after one niche stood out a little bit more from the rest, I started to sell more products from that specific niche. Of course, added more products. I was happy with the results. I wasn't afraid to lose money. I wasn't afraid to test a lot of products because it was successful. The product, one of the products that I tested in that niche was successful. Eventually, I transitioned the whole store into a niche store. Now, I recommend you guys, if you're taking e-com very, very seriously, to just open a new store, a niche store, okay? Have a general store and then keep using that general store and open a niche store. But in that specific scenario, I was working on a lot more things and I didn't have time to work on a lot of stores. So I just decided to take that general store and turn it into a niche store. Now, like I said, if you guys are, you guys have the time and you want to take e-com very seriously, I recommend you just use a general store, and every time you find a successful niche, just open a new store on that niche. Then, of course, I had upsells configured. Okay, I made sure that my upsells are configured, boost sales, I talk about that, and I took advantage of a very specific event, okay, which really blew up the sales. That was basically a point where there was a lot of sales coming in after that event, which I'm going to go into that in a second. So, like I said, open the general store and tested around 12 different products. Now, this is basically, of course, it's not about, okay, you test 12 products and one works. Before that, I tested dozens of products. Some worked, some didn't, but in this specific, because we had a lot of general stores. So in this specific general store, this was one went through. So wine products, we tested these three and then another two. So wine stoppers, funny wine stoppers, and this wine stand ribbon thing. Now, these were a bit successful. They were not really profiting a lot, but they had potential. But like I said, my goal was just to find a very easy niche to just transition into and make as much money as possible. Okay, so even though I saw potential, and if I invested more time and if I invested more money, I would have eventually found success, because I talk about this a lot in my sessions, where even though there's products that aren't really successful, you can transition into making them successful eventually by, at the beginning, maybe optimizing for view content and only then add to cart and only then purchase. And then slowly you're building up these custom audiences, and then you're tapping into the niche one step at a time. But like I said, I wanted to find a niche where it's really simple for me to tap just right into it and eventually to try to make it blow up as fast as possible. I tried some products from the LGBT niche, okay, the gay lesbian community, a ring, a necklace, a bracelet. Now everything is jewelry. I tested a few more, like I think one or two more. Now the reason is because the reason I tested only jewelry is because that's mostly what there is in this type of niche. There is like underwear and how do you say Lingere? I forgot how to pronounce that. But those types of things where, you know, clothing and sexy clothing for the LGBT community. I cannot promote that on Facebook though. So I just went with jewelry. So I tried one ring, one necklace, one bracelet. And here I forgot to change the name above the pictures, but this is from the goth niche. So I'm going to do that really fast so there's no confusion. So the goth niche, I tested again a ring, a necklace, this cool hand, a thing which as well wasn't really successful but had potential. Okay, now some of these had more potential than the other things, but eventually, who won? Okay, what was eventually the niche, the product that I actually went with 100%? Now, just for out of curiosity, guys, who do you think from all of these niches, who do you think was the most successful? Let me see. Cool. So some of you are saying LGBT, goth. Yeah, I see that all of you are basically giving equal answer. So eventually, one product really stood out from the rest, which is this ring, LGBT ring, pride ring with the stones, really nice high quality image. This was what worked the best. Okay, had a lot of engagement, sales were starting to come in. I'm gonna go over the process in a second, but eventually this is the product that worked the best. I did exactly what you would do in any other case. Tested a PPE. Okay, started with testing a $5 to $10 PPE, I think, and seeing how that works. Eventually, starting to see the sales and then scaling from there. Okay, now after I saw the success, now this is not, of course, from the $5 campaign. This was after the scale and everything. It got into over 34,000 likes, over 10,000 shares, almost 2,000 comments. Now, The thing is that the copy that you see here is a copy that I usually don't do, but in that specific scenario, the page is a fan page for the niche. And that fan page I made it seem that that fan page wasn't related to the store, and it was just like a fan page promoting the product. So it wasn't, I didn't make any in celebration of or something like that. It was just like, this has to be one of the most epic things we've ever seen. Get yours here. It's 70% off for a limited time, by the way. I made it seem like the page is basically promoting a whole different thing and not related to the store, and related to the actual store. But after testing a lot, it's a lot more powerful to do what I taught you, which is to put in celebration of where our best-selling ring, necklace, whatever is 50% off, 60% off. Get yours here. Sale available for a very limited time. Okay, so that worked better. So I recommend you to use that technique and not this one. Like I said, this is from June. And after that, I just started to sell more products in that niche. Okay, I just took a lot of products and eventually tried to target it on the same people, on the same audience, which I'm going to get to as well. Now, one product was successful, okay, out of those 3 products. So, of course, at that scenario, I just push in a lot of products. Basically sending out ads to the same exact audience. Nothing too fancy, not afraid that things are going to overlap. Things are going to overlap, but you have to understand that some person will like ring number 1 and some people would like bracelet number 1. So I'm not afraid of that collision, because eventually somebody will like one product and not like the other. I want my products to be seen by as many people as possible. Okay? Now, the campaign process. Of course, I started with a PPE, cheap PPE. Okay? Now, you see here men and you see women. Now, men, women doesn't mean I only targeted men or only targeted women. Well, I'll show you exactly what I did here. But 2 PPEs to test basically 2 scenarios, because an LGBT community can be gay men and it can be lesbian women. Now, the targeting that I did here is actually a targeting that isn't even interest targeting. I didn't even targeted interests. This is a very basic targeting that I did, which was one, I targeted men who their relationship, they are interested in men, the demographic, so that's a behavioral targeting, and the other ad for women that are interested in women, okay? Because that was just a lot more powerful than just finding interests that are related to the LGBT community, because nothing says I'm in the LGBT community or I'm gay or I'm lesbian more than if the person puts on his profile that he is interested in men and women that are interested in women. Okay, so each one of these audiences are around 800 to 900,000, something like that. So I targeted these to, I tried 2 different ads because I wanted to see what works better, the homosexual audience or the lesbian audience. Now, in this particular situation, like I said, I don't use interests, but it doesn't mean that you don't use interests. 99% of the campaigns that I did were with interests, and that's in this specific situation. Interest was a less targeted campaign, and this is a more targeted campaign, the behavioral interest, because the behavioral interest is actually proven because it's based out of the information that the person puts on their Facebook profile. Okay, so this is the targeting basically that I did. So 1 PPE man, 1 PPE woman, 21 plus. Now, why 21 plus and not 25 plus and not 18 plus, like I talked about before? Because it's a PPE, a lot of people engage. A lot of people will engage with the post, especially a niche this passionate. Okay, the LGBT community is extremely passionate. Now, if I will target this to 18 and over, for example, what will happen is that a lot of the youngsters, a lot of the people from 18 to 21 will interact with this ad. A lot of people will engage with this ad. What will happen is that Facebook will start to only show my ad to those people because they engage the most. Because I wanted a PPE, a page post engagement ad. Now that's not a good thing because those ages aren't really buyers. Okay, they are engagers. But if I only focus on 21 plus, the ad will still probably go to the younger range, which is like 21 to probably 25. But eventually, it will have a lot more buyer's intent because the people are older. Okay, of course, the more older they are, you know this, the more older they are, the more likely they are to spend. Okay, so basically start like this. After that, PPE worked. Okay, the PPE worked. I decided to do a $10 campaign on the add to cart and a $10 campaign on the purchase. Now, I only did this to the lesbian community. The ads that were targeted to men didn't convert as well. They weren't giving me a positive return on investment. Okay, they weren't giving me a positive return on investment, so I decided to do just to women. Okay, again, 21 plus, USA, same thing. Eventually, I duplicated the ad to $50 and tested different countries and lookalike audiences. So USA, UK, Canada 7-day. Now this is before I only did 7-day campaigns. Nowadays I only do 7-day campaigns. But the scaling process is really similar to what I've showed you in the videos, where a campaign works, I will duplicate it. So the purchase actually worked much better than the add to cart. The add to cart was scaled a bit, but not as much as the purchase. Okay, now this is only a fraction, by the way, of the ads, because it was duplicated to mobile, it was duplicated to desktop, 7-day, 1-day, other countries. Now, what happens here is that eventually some ads were working better, some ads were working less good. What was working less good? I either reduced the manual bid or I closed the ad entirely. Okay, it's the same exact process, guys. I'm not giving you any new information here. Okay, the process of testing. The ads that work, I will scale them. So PPE was pretty good. This one was scaled only one more, by the way. It was one more to women and mobile and desktop, $50, $50. It worked less good as the purchase one, but eventually it did make money. So scaled it like that, duplicated to desktop. All the ones that don't have a D were directed directly to mobile. And then I built a lookalike audience. From the add to cart, I built a lookalike audience from the purchase and from the view content. At the time, I did 3, but now I don't touch the lookalike purchase because the lookalike add to cart is just much more powerful. So I continued to scale like that, duplicate the $50 budget, and tested different countries and lookalike audiences. Very simple process. The sales started racking in. The campaign was starting to work good. It wasn't $1 million campaign. It was starting to try to make good money. Okay, I made sure the upsells were in place with boost sales. So I basically added a lot of products to the store, and I made sure that boost sales was upselling the other products that are really related, of course, to the main product. Now, all of sales starting not only to come from that ring, there were sales coming from different products because a lot of products were started to be more powerful. And eventually, because it's the niche store, I transitioned, like I said, I moved the general store into a niche store, and that means the pixel was much more powerful. That's why once you have a niche that's working well for you, a few hundreds of sales, then it's safe to say that you can move on to a niche store. Your pixel will be much more stronger if it's only focusing on one niche. Okay, so like I said, a general store is your testing ground. That's where you want to test the different products. That's where you want to test different niches. Eventually, you want to transition into a niche store. Okay, but the process, guys, is a very simple process. Testing products, what works, excellent, let's scale that. Now, the process of me eventually finding the product is very simple. I have my niche list. I have niches that I gathered up from my head, and I just looked over products, and whatever I saw that was passionate, more passionate than others, I tested it out. Now, all of you have the niche list. There are over 300 niches. Now, that niche list, it's not all of those niches are passionate 100% buyers. Some of them are more passionate than others. Like I said before, there are niches where if it's related to the actual person, like the LGBT community, like the goth community, like the hippie community, where the person is really passionate to that niche, he's really connected to it, then you have a very high you have a much higher success rate. Doesn't mean that other niches won't work. Other niches work. Everything works, guys. Everything really works. It depends on how much you're willing to invest into a niche and how much you're really willing to eventually test. Okay, because I'm not telling you, that's why I don't want you to eventually try just like a zillion products in one niche. It's enough, because it's enough for you to try 3-4 products in every niche. That's a much more efficient way than to test 15-20 products in every niche. You're going to lose a lot of money, and you're going to find a niche, a product that works for you a lot more faster. Okay, so due to the success, I eventually just created a bunch of shirts. I found quotes literally on Pinterest, Google Images. Okay, found some cool, funny quotes for the LGBT community, gays, lesbians, and got a designer from Upwork. Each one of these designs was about 13 bucks, 15 bucks. You create a design. I just gave him the quote. He created the design. I didn't even tell him what the design to do. And a lot of designers are like that. They know how to think for themselves. So don't be afraid to use a designer. Don't be afraid to just give him the idea, and he will eventually create something really, really nice. Of course, not every designer is like that, but some designers are real keepers. And this designer I've been working probably over a year already. Now, I created these shirts. I didn't even release campaigns on these shirts. I just used them as upsells. I literally just used them as upsells, and that turned my product from. By the way, the product was sold for $9.95, including $3.95 shipping. So I forgot to mention that. And then I upsold them not only on other bracelets, jewelry. I actually upsold them on the shirts, and that increased the order value from 14 bucks to over $30, because eventually they'd like one product. Why won't they buy a bracelet? Why won't they buy a necklace? Why won't they buy a shirt? These shirts are cool. It's a really cool shirt, and in my opinion, they actually look pretty good. And yeah, like I said, I decided to transition the store into a niche store. I actually did this before the upsells of shirts, so I talked about that. And now I took advantage of an event. Okay, now this is something that I don't know, some of you might look at it in a weird way, but you have to look at it in the grand scheme of things. And it basically was a win-win situation. Okay, so basically, a lot of you probably know what happened in Florida, in Orlando, where there was a attack, a shooting. Now, don't come and think, oh, I leveraged on that, and now I'm making a lot of money because of that. That's not the point. The point is, there's something happened. We, as people, can not only help them, but we can actually help ourselves, which is amazing. Which is literally amazing. So what I did, I decided to put a header and all of my products, and tell them that 10% of all products, of all profits, will be donated to the Pulse shooting victims. And this is the Equality Florida institution. It's a real donation charity, and 10% of everything will be donated to them. And that basically skyrocketed the sales even more, because I took advantage. I won't say took advantage, but that happened, and easily we were able to get much more sales, and we actually donated over $1,000 to Pulse victims. So some of you can look at it in a weird eye. Some of you can say, wow, that's actually a really good thing that was done. So it was a win-win situation, not only for us, but for the families as well. And the thing is that you guys always want to look and see what's going on in the world and use that to your advantage. Okay, it can be in a good way. It can be a lot of times in a good way, and sometimes it can be in a creative way. Okay, so that simple thing skyrocketed basically the sales even more. Now, eventually you'll notice that more and more people you're getting sales, and you're creating this email list. Okay, creating this email list, and then it's all about just keeping to sell to those people, keeping to sell to the same people. Okay, because they bought from you before, and if the products are high quality, and eventually they are, it's not that we're not dealing here with actual diamonds. Okay, of course, it's probably stainless steel with some gems. Now, people, though, for $14, they really enjoy the product. Okay, it's a really, really nice product, and we got a ton of emails from people that really like the product and wanted to buy more. So that's why eventually you want to really leverage on that and create more products for them. So that's why we created these shirts and we tried more and more products, and we used this as upsells. We actually tried a few of these shirts as campaigns. They actually didn't work as well, so we just decided to keep them in the store and use them as upsells for the main product, which eventually turned a sale from $14 to over $30, which is amazing. And that's basically the process. Okay, it's a very simple process, and all of you already know what you need to know to achieve these results. It's just about testing, 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 scaling, scaling, and having an open mind, understanding and thinking as a business person, and understanding where the world is headed, and taking advantage of certain trends that are happening around the world. And like I said, sometimes you can take it in a very good way, like what we did here, and sometimes you can just take it in a different way. So there was the Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton political debates, where a lot of people leveraged on that and created a lot of shirts, a lot of Christmas sweaters even, and made a ton of money because that was really, really, really trendy. Okay, so don't always think about just AliExpress, 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 even though these products are from AliExpress, but there was something here that was a bit creative. Okay, now it's really, really simple if you think about it to just take products and just advertise them and wait till you see results, and then close what it's not selling and then scaling what works. But it's not only about working as a robot, which even if you work as a robot, you can see success. I've seen it happening dozens of times, just testing AliExpress products, then whatever works, awesome, scaled. Whatever doesn't, just close. But try to open your mind a bit, and you'll notice that things happen, and you taking advantage will be much easier a lot of the times. I'm not telling you to stop searching for AliExpress products. Like I said, AliExpress is something that we still use and we're still leveraging a lot on. But don't be afraid to try other things, your own designs. Shirts are very, very powerful because shirts have this unique thing to them. Okay, this unique thing that you created. Okay, but I hope this kind of cleared some things, cleared up your mind a bit. So a bit of a recap of what happened here. Okay, so basically, general store, tested 4 niches. Now, guys, everything is in the same store, 1 pixel. Cats, wine, LGBT, goth. Tested some wine products. Some of these were actually okay, not as profitable as I wanted them to be. So instead of me just continuing to advertise it until my pixel is built or until I have enough data, I just decided to go with what was working the most, which was the LGBT niche. And I created, I saw success for this ring, and then I just created more and more products. Created more and more ads for different products. I added more products to the store, had upsells, and that easily turned, like I said, the product from a $14 sale to over a $30 sale with the shirts and with other products and bracelets. Okay, PPE, simple, men, women, targeted men who are interested in men, women who are interested in women. Very basic. Like I said, you guys are going to do interests unless you have a very specific niche. So for example, the baby niche, you can target behavioral interests where, not behavioral interests, but behaviors where it's new moms, expected parents, which you can see underneath the behaviors. You can target people that are married, engaged, without really looking for interests. But most of the time, you'll actually look for interests. So men work less good. I decided to scale the woman one. Duplicated, $50, tested different countries, lookalike audiences, whatever worked. I scaled whatever didn't. I closed, tried West Europe, tried UK, tried Canada, Australia, New Zealand, desktop, mobile. Upsells were all in place with boost sales, which, like I said, made a sale go from $14 to $30 and even more with these type of products. Eventually decided to transition the store into a niche store. Like I said before, you would rather just open a new store and make that a niche store instead of just taking the general store and turning it into a niche store. Like I said, I was working. I didn't have time to deal with a lot of stores, so I just decided to turn that general store into a niche store. It was a lot more efficient. But if you want to have as many assets as possible and as many stores, then keeping the general store as a testing ground and opening niche stores around that is the way to go. And I took advantage. I don't really like the word advantage, but I think you guys get it. So something happened in the world. I said, okay, I can earn from this, and the people that were involved can earn from this. 10% of all profits will be donated to the pole shooting victims. So actually, over $1,000 was donated to them. So that's actually really, really, really cool. And yeah, guys, that's basically the process. Okay, very simple process. Eventually, like the ads started to go down. I reduced the manual bid. I reduced the budget. Eventually, everything died out. And probably, if I try to sell this is what I had from a year ago. If I try to do this whole process a few months from now, it'll probably be successful again, because audiences and niches are like it's renewal. Probably a lot of you might steal this and just do it for yourself. But yeah, for those of you that do that, excellent. You have probably a winning niche if you try these products a few months from now. But that's what's so special, by the way, about certain niches, is that they can work for you. You can saturate the product, but a year from now, there will be more people in the LGBT community. There will be more gays, there will be more lesbians, there will be more transsexuals, there will be more bisexuals, new ones that haven't seen my ads, haven't seen my products. Then I can do this whole process again. That's why there's a lot of long-term thinking here. Let me see some of the questions from what you've seen so far. Let's see. So why have you hidden the page if this is a case study? The reason I hid the page is because if you see the page, you can easily see the store and you can see all the products. So I'd rather that not happening. I think that's a reasonable, it's a good reason. So one is asking, what was the event you used? I don't know if this was a question I was asked before I said what event was it, but from what happened in Florida, I saw that as a good opportunity to make people really connected to the products. So I used that and said that I'll donate 10% of all the profits, like I said before, to the pole shooting victims. And people started to buy a lot more because they felt as well that they donated more the more product that they bought. So how did you do the upsell? Boost sales, show them more products, bracelets, necklaces, the shirts. I created actually shirts only for the upsells, like I said. No, so the question here, so don't you think we should use donation headings for mini ads? You can donate any time of the year, really. Yeah, that's actually true. And it'll probably work good, but it works the best when something happens. The thing is, if you just have a general store and you decided you're saying we'll donate 10% of our profits to Alzheimer's disease, it's pretty weird and not aligned. That's the thing. And it'll probably help, but it's probably not worth your money or your profits. But if something happens and there's a certain event, like, for example, there's Breast Cancer Day, there's HIV, AIDS Day, and that specific days or weeks, you can actually take advantage of that and decide to do this whole sale where 10% of all profits will be donated to HIV victims, 10% of all profits will be donated to breast cancer victims, and so on and so on. So somebody is asking, are you still standing on the site? Did you shut down the site? I think the site is still running. I'm not advertising on it currently, but there's a lot of potential to be made. The reason is just I have other things to work on, but I have a huge email list, and I'll probably work on it as well when I have more time. But it's a very, very good niche, and I already have a lot of lookalike audiences and a lot of data and a lot of other successful products. So yeah, I don't think the store isn't really working now. So I didn't quite get what interest did you do for the ring. So the interest, it wasn't really an interest, it was a behavior. So the interest was an LGBT pride ring with the colors, and people from the gay lesbian community are really connected to it. So I just targeted men that are interested in men. Okay, so you have relationship status in your profile, and you can put interested in women, interested in men, So I just targeted people that put their interested in men, and then I targeted women that put interested in women. Okay. So can you just explain a little more on the starting of the ring success? Did you start it as an ad for $5 a day? Okay, so yeah, I started at $5 a day, and it just started to be profitable. Just after 4 days, it was making like 2 sales a day, sometimes even 3 sales a day, and it was good ROI, probably like over 100% ROI. That's for sure, over 100% return on investment. So cool, scale it, PPE, add to cart purchase, and so on. It worked from the beginning. Most products that are scalable usually doesn't take a lot of time to work. Usually the first day or two, you already start to see sales. So all these products saturated already. I'll be honest, it was sold. This is not too long ago. It was 6 months ago. But you can probably, if you try to sell this, you can probably see sales. I can't promise that because I know that I really, really squeezed the whole audience. But you can try, and like I said, probably in a few months from now, 6 months from now, if other people are not selling it, then it will be good again. So what do you consider a success with the PPE that made you make that scaling? Well, as long as the PPE is making me money, as long as the PPE is gives me more money than what I'm spending, that's a successful campaign. It's very simple. If an ad is making more money than it's losing, I would scale it. Okay, there's nothing more to it. So Ben, how long did it take to finally find your LGBT winning niche? So in this specific scenario, I talked about trying 4 niches on the store, but in reality, there was a lot more successful niches before and a lot more losses. Like I said, I have a stronger. The more products I test, the faster it is for me to get to that niche. All of those tests and all of those products were done in 1 day. 1 day, 12 products, 3 different niches. Some of you it takes 2 niches, some of you it takes 20 niches. So at that specific scenario, I tried 4 niches. 1 of them worked, 1 product out of them worked, and then I just transitioned from there and scaled that. And eventually, because the niche started to work, I can actually use products that didn't work before, but now will work because the pixel is stronger. So on those behavioral interests, you look for a specific amount of people reach. I'd say about 300,000 minimum, 400,000 minimum, like what I would look for when I'm targeting interests. So you said some products had potential. What stats or how did you decide which had potential? So basically, even though an ad isn't profitable, let's say if I just went with the wine niche. Okay, so the wine niche didn't really give me more money than I spent. But the wine niche is a very passionate niche. Okay, I can't because I tried 3 products, I can't just say the wine niche isn't good, guys, don't do the wine niche. Okay, probably if you guys test different wine products, you'll probably eventually find a successful product. So there was good engagement to the products, there were good clicks, but there were no sales. That means that it has potential, but I need to invest more into it. So what I'll do in that scenario, if I decide to go with that, is I'll create custom audiences from, let's say, all the view content that I got from the wine niche. And then once I have a few hundreds, even though I'm losing money, I can create a lookalike audience from the custom audience of the view content pixel. Okay? So then I can start sending my ads to that lookalike audience. That's actually going to be more powerful than just the interest targeting. And once that starts working, a little bit of ads to cart, a little bit of purchases, I start to optimize for ads to cart or purchase, and then I transition slowly. But for that, basically, I need to invest probably a few hundreds of dollars until that's successful. That's why in most of you guys' position, you would rather just test 3-4 products in every niche. If it works, excellent. If it doesn't, just move on. Hey, but how much did you spend on the ring campaign in total? It was probably around $8,000, about $7,000, something like that. So is the purpose of the duplication just to split everything out so detailed so you can identify which ones are winners and cut the rest? So the duplications that you guys saw wasn't all made in one instance. It was made slowly. So I started with add to cart USA, purchase USA $10, both of them $10. Purchase then, sorry, add to cart worked. I scaled that to $50. Add to cart mobile, that worked good. Then I scaled that to $50 desktop. That didn't work, so I just left it on $50 mobile and let that run. But the purchase worked really well, so I duplicated the purchase to USA to $50, mobile, desktop, and then I moved over to Canada. Canada worked. I moved it over to UK. UK worked. Tried mobile, desktop on all of those countries, and then some of them worked for a few days and then stopped working. Some of them worked for a few months, and eventually the main thing here is that if the last 4 days were good, then you're okay. Once the last 4 days is not good, you're losing money, then probably the campaign is not really going to work anymore, and it's just transitioning down. So you either close it or reduce the bid. So what's the total ad spend on the campaign? So I said it was about $7,000, $8,000. So after making $50,000 with the product upsells, what did you do after to continue the store revenue? So this store eventually made a few hundreds of thousands because I tried a lot of products and a lot of campaigns. Not all the campaigns, like I said, made over $50,000, but a lot of them made $10,000, a lot of them made $15,000, and I just tried a lot of products and they were scalable. Some of them were scalable more, some of them were scalable less. Of course, I sent emails as well using the Klaviyo system that I talked about before, sending an email every week for a very, very long time. From so many trending products to choose from, how do we pick which ones to spend money on testing? It's all about just testing. I can't tell you what would be better than the other one. Of course, if you present all the products to me, I will give you a sort of intuition, but you have to test it yourself. You have to experience what works and what doesn't. And like I said, even me, I still test products, and a big majority of them don't work. So did you make 50,000 in this niche in 2 months? I made 50,000 from that campaign, from that product. I made more than 50,000 in 2 months from different products eventually. So how did you guess that the bracelet belonged to the lesbian or gay interest? To me, it looked like a normal jewelry attractive to a woman. So Sharma, if you write LGBT in Google Images or you write gay lesbian, then there's the Pride colors, which is basically the colors that you saw in the products, which is basically like purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. These are the Pride colors, and all the LGBT community are aware of that. So that's why it's intended for the LGBT community. So if both add to cart and purchase makes money, will you scale both? Or will they compete with each other? So at that specific scenario, Steve, if both of them work, I will scale what works better. Okay, because if I scale both of them, they will really collide with each other. I will scale only what works better. Even if both of them are making me a positive return on investment, I will only scale what works better. After the ad stops working, I would scale the other one. Okay, so let's say we got add to cart and purchase. Let's say the add to cart works better than the purchase, but they're both making money. I would scale the add to cart. I won't scale the purchase, but once the add to cart starts to dry off and starts to be less good and is not really making a lot of money or losing money, then I start to scale the purchase. This way I'm giving them both a chance, and this way I'm not making them compete with each other. Did you try other interests or only the relationship behavior and just do lookalike nonstop after reaching high pixel fires? So I didn't try, and I didn't really try interests here. I probably should have. Okay, I probably should have, I'll be honest, but I didn't. I just went with the behavioral and I transitioned to lookalike. So guys, I won't be able to answer everything. We have a Q&A very soon, so don't worry. So do you start bidding on the first day of website conversion, or do you start with website conversion, auto bid, and transition to bidding So guys, the thing about bidding is that the low budget ads is automated bidding. So the testing testing $10 ads. So I tested a $10 add to cart, a $10 purchase is all an automatic bidding. After it works and I scale, all the high budget ads are manual bidding. Okay, so understand that. Guys, okay, so I'll continue to answer more questions in the Q&A. I really want to keep all of these questions specifically for the Q&A so everybody can have a equal chance to answer questions. But I hope a lot of now the information is clear and you have some sort of a better view on things. Of course, like I said, this will be available in the members area together with the email marketing session that was yesterday. So guys, I'll see you in a few days for the Q&A session, and I really want you guys to come up with very good questions, because the Q&A is the moment, that's the most important phase, that's where you can literally get any question answered. And you know this, that I don't leave any question unanswered. Every question that will be there will be answered. So that's why I really recommend every one of you to be in the Q&A. Even if it's blocking something for you, I would recommend to even sometimes cancel or postpone something to be on that Q&A, because Q&A is very, very important. It's one of the most important sessions, in my opinion, where you can get all your answers, all your questions answered. Okay, guys, so I'll see you in a few days for the Q&A, and I hope you enjoyed this session. So bye-bye.